here, boys. We're all here. Good evening and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. We have, I think this is the most we've had on our podcast. We almost have a full house for all of the Villa Park pod panel. Everyone involved apart from Richie B. But we've got Martin. How are you doing, my man?
All good, lads. How are we all keeping? All good. All is good.
Good. Mr. Fowler legend himself, George. How are you, mate?
Yeah, all good here. Thanks, lads. Lovely to see you all.
Good. And Mr. KT AVFC, Kevin himself. How are you, mate?
Great, mate. Great to be here with you all.
Good. And the truest sight for sore eyes you can imagine. Sam, we haven't seen him for I don't know how long, but he keeps threatening to come back, and finally this is the day. How are you doing, my man? How are you doing?
We won his legal battle.
I'm good, lads. I'm good. I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to have a new 40-second intro to wait for to get into the pod. Like you say, I've been threatening to come back.
Second bit of feedback already.
Second bit of feedback is right. It's going to keep coming. But no, it's lovely to be back with you guys and to be back on the channel.
Excellent. So yeah, we've got a few bits to run through today. We're going to do a brief rundown of yesterday's friendly against Rennes, a 2-1 victory, but we'll get into that in a bit. And we also have our season predictions. So that is, I threw out five players who we think are going to be, which one is going to be player of the year, which one's going to be young player of the year, who's going to be top goal scorer, who's going to be the surprise package of the season, and who is going to be the flop of the season. So I'm going to get all your views on that, boys, and get involved in the comments for who you think are going to be up for those awards by the end of the season. On Thursday, we will have our predictions show in terms of where Villa are going to finish and in comparison to the rest of the league, while also previewing the first game of the season against Bournemouth. But first, lads, we couldn't not mention a certain game that's happened today. And has football actually come home, Kev?
Before you start, Clever, it didn't come home. It was the first time you've won the Euro, so it's only in the country. It's not coming home or any of this shite, right? I'm not having this. I'm Irish. I'm not having this bullshit. It's come home.
Can you mute him?
Ed has already commented. Martin, make sure you behave. Make sure you behave, mate. Make sure you behave. So, Kevin, question is to you: has football come home?
Yes, it has. By the way, just for disclosure, I'm half Irish, Mark. So, I'm with you. Absolutely. My mum's born in Cork, so I've got the Irish love. But let's be clear, what an absolutely amazing performance from the Lionesses. It was just sensational to watch, and to do it at Wembley for the biggest crowd ever of a men's or women's Euros game against Germany, and then to be up and then to go get pegged back and then to win it in extra time. It just doesn't happen. So I just think it's just fantastic. What an inspiration to a generation of boys and girls. I think it's wonderful, and the teamwork, the desire. I mean, even hearing the manager speaking at the end, just saying they've just been such togetherness, and obviously they've just worked for each other. It's just brilliant to see. So I'm on cloud nine. It was literally only about an hour ago, wasn't it? It happened. So I think I'm certainly still smiling anyway.
Yeah, Sam, do you think Gareth Southgate could be tapping up Serena Wiegman for some tips on how to make substitutions?
Oh, forget that. I'd replace him with her altogether, if I'm being honest. He's absolute dross, Southgate.
He's on the job.
But I think just with regards to tonight, I'm not going to lie and act like I'm one of those people who's followed women's football or even been impressed by it for a really long period of time. I remember the first time I saw a women's game I was in Bulgaria 2017. And I watched, I think it was Holland and someone else, maybe USA, and I thought the quality of the football was not great. And then watching this Euros in particular, just to see the improvement in the level of football has been, I think obviously it's still got a long way to go, but the quality is just so much better in terms of what the football offers. And I think it as a country, everyone will be super proud of that. England winning anything, if I was watching England in a table tennis final, have my heart beating if they were close to winning it. So I think it's incredible. I think, like Kev said, it's an inspiration to a generation of girls and women, and I think it's good to see the interaction that it's had from women around the country and around the world. But I think also this is going to be a massive inspiration for the men's game as well, with the World Cup coming up in November, December. That the boys are going to take a look at that and just say, we want some of that. They're going to see the girls lifting the trophy and see how proud the country is of the women's national team. And I think, honestly, it is an incredible achievement. And the first goal England scored in the final today, I mean, absolutely beautiful. It kind of shows that there is some quality. There is definitely quality in that game. And I think this will be the period where women's football will kick on now in this country, because as it happened with the USA when they won it in the 90s, soccer got massive over there. And I think a lot more women and young girls will start getting involved in this game, which is a good thing.
Absolutely. And George, as a father of a daughter, do you think she will be inspired in the next few years to get involved in the women's game?
Well, yeah, you'd like to think so, wouldn't you, lads? I mean, I'm just watching the highlights again now. I'm similar to what you said, Sam. I've not been an advocate, but I've not really watched any. But I watched it today, and I was quite impressed. I thought we played very well. Great sort of teamwork, good team ethic. Even listening to them after the game, they seemed so confident. There was never any doubt that they were going to win in their mind. And you've got to respect that. And you've probably inspired a whole new generation of young girls. They keep hearing this quote. You need to see it to be it, or whatever it is, they've done the business there. So good luck to them. Fair play.
Excellent. So I won't keep talking on it enough. I won't prolong your agony, Martin, for us waxing lyrical over England for too long, mate. But fantastic by the women. European champions. I think they got. 2009. I think they lost very heavily against Germany. And they obviously got their own back this time round. I don't think they've lost in something like 19 or 20 games since Wiegmans took over. And you can certainly see the difference in, physicality, in technique, in professionalism since the funding has gone into the WSL. And like you say, Sam, in terms of, it just needed people to go and watch it. And if people go and watch it, and if people take it from now, and businesses and sponsorship gets involved, then obviously that is just going to continue to raise the standards. And it's not fair to compare it to the men's team or men's football. It's a completely different sport, and hopefully it will continue to push on in its own right moving forwards. Right, boys. So onto all things Villa.
Thank God.
Final. I'll come to you first, Martin. Final pre-season friendly, and it was great to see a lot of Villa fans over. I think it was 1,300 Villa fans over in Rennes over the course of the weekend, singing and cheering on the team. And obviously, we got a bit of a dodgy stream, but we managed to win the game 2-1 in extremely warm conditions, I believe. First of all, what were your thoughts on the starting lineup? Martinez in goal. I think it was Digne, Cash, Konsa and Carlos at the back. Then in midfield was Kamara, McGinn and Louise. And then the front three of Coutinho, Leon Bailey and Ollie Watkins. So, yeah, Martin, what were your thoughts on that starting lineup?
I thought that starting lineup, I actually really liked it. Seeing Coutinho and Bailey in behind Watkins, I really liked. Two really creative type of wingers who would play on the inside for Ollie Watkins. And midfield looked solid. Defensively, we were solid as well. I watched the highlights today because unfortunately I couldn't find anywhere to watch it. So I was waiting till Villa put it up themselves. And I was watching it, and I believe Rennes were like on a goal scoring spree last season, and they didn't really threaten us at all from what I was watching from open play at all. And Carlos got a goal, which I was delighted for him. That would probably give him a little bit of confidence going into the new season. He was very commanding in the box as well with him and Konsa. I was impressed with that. No, so I was happy with the performance overall because it was a real commanding performance. We weren't really threatened at all by Rennes because from last season they were on a massive goal scoring spree. So for us to do that when our defense was kind of leaky last season, kind of puts me in a good mood to say we could probably be a little bit better defensively this season. And Leon Bailey, I have to say he has been fantastic throughout his preseason. 5 games, 3 goals and 2 assists. You know, really playing well. If he stays fit, he could be really like a whole new signing all of a sudden. So I'm happy enough with the performance. I thought everybody played well. There wasn't really any sloppy mistakes. It was just my biggest surprise was that Mings wasn't even in the squad.
Yeah, I think something.
I don't know what happened there.
I think he played in the friendly. We'll touch on that a little bit in a bit, but he played in a friendly the day before against Fulham.
Right.
With
because I know when he did, that's why he wasn't there at all. So I didn't realize he was there.
Yeah, and
so,
Ings played.
Yes.
But Sam, first goal we conceded, free sort of not a free header. He just volleyed it in, but he was totally unmarked in the 6-yard box. Is that and Martin's pointed out, that Rennes were, big goal scorers last season, but to concede a goal that easy from a set piece, was that a slight concern for you?
I mean, I think preface all of my thoughts on this is that it's just preseason. I don't buy into preseason in the fact that it's as competitive as we're going to be. It is hard to do that when you've got such a holiday vibe. I think if you look at the pictures out in Australia, sort of going to like local schools and stuff like that, it's just not the mindset of competition. It's so I don't feel like anything should be taken too seriousthink but I'm going to completely renege on that when I talk about Ollie Watkins later, so I won't go too hard on it. But I think I think it's one of them things. Obviously, defensively, we've got a setup where our fullbacks are very attacking. Dina and Matty Cash are very attacking. I think actually at centre back now we've got 5 really good options in Carlos Mings, Courtney Hawes, Esri Konsa, and Callum Chambers. So I reckon at centre back for the first time in a long time, I'm actually quite content with what we have there. So look, I mean, these goals are going to go in. I think what's more important about the game, and not just this game, but other games in pre-season, especially the Man United one, is that we went behind and we still came out with something out of the game. And that's not a Villa trait. It hasn't been a Villa trait for many years. So yeah. I think less important is conceding a goal. More important is more important is really taking something out of the game and working back and having that sort of, I think, that Jared mentality that you were talking about when you first came in. That's what I saw from that.
Yeah, great point. And Kev, talking about sort of coming back into the game, and Martin's alluded to it, a man who has been really on fire and seems to have got the bit between his teeth, and he scored another goal, albeit a bit of a scuffed volley. Leon Bailey, with another goal and in the box in the right place at the right time, mate.
Sam and I'm missing out. What's that song again? How does it go?
He
comes from Jamaica. Look, to use the offset phrase, you can't say too much about pre-season. I think we're all in the same boat with Bailey in that we know he's got a really dodgy injury record last season. Every time he looked like he had anything going for him, he got injured. He's got 3 pre-season. I'll be up here for still talking about Leon Bailey playing in the first team come January. But that being said, he is now impacting games. He did it obviously against Man United, and obviously he nearly scored a good goal in the second half, didn't he, against Rennes? That was one of the bits where my stream was working. And he cut in and just kind of whipped it over the bar. And obviously he scored. I mean, it wasn't the cleanest strike, but at the end of the day, he's getting in positions, good assist, got the ball in the net. He's looking like that player we spent all that money on. That was going to do the YouTube highlights reel that I'm sure we all watched and all Villa fans watched. And we all started salivating. It's just now whether he gets picked, which I think he absolutely has put himself in a position now where he has to be picked for the team, and whether he can do that in the Premier League. And that is the key thing for me now, because look, absolutely, pre-season, Rennes, Mark, you're absolutely right. I think they're second top scorer in League One last year. They finished fourth. It's fairly. I mean, I know PSG run away with it every year, but they only scored 8 goals less than PSG, which is some going. And that's decent opposition. Man United's decent opposition, but Leeds, okay, fine, a solid test. Brisbane and Warsaw is not like playing Man City, Tottenham, etc., etc. So
Watkins can score against anyone.
Absolutely. he just about got one.
Just about Warsaw. Yeah.
Warsaw, I saw that. Yeah, I was quite surprised actually.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But Leon Bailey, I mean, what's not to like? And I think he could be a bit of a cult hero as well for Villa fans.
Absolutely. And just a quick point on that song, which I started, by the way. I won't blow my own trumpet, but yeah,
we Rich, I was there, Palace.
Yeah, we started it. Yes, we started it, Sam. We started it. But people having a go saying you can't sing that song because it's for African people and he's from Jamaica. Last time I checked, we didn't sing a Highland Fling for John McGinn or an Irish jig for Conor Horahan. Like, I didn't realize that songs had to be exclusively for the people, for the countries where they're from. So yeah, I think you just need to
trust me, you don't even want an Irish jig for Conor Horahan because none of your accents would be able to do it.
Yeah, exactly. But I didn't realize that songs were exclusive for.
No, the minute someone says you can't do this, I think you should just switch off. I mean, I always think about that. Like with a lot of history of football songs where they come from. That tune, "Down with the Baggies," you're going down with the Baggies, whatever, or versions of that. Down with the Spurs, whatever. It's like it's an old Mexican song. I was watching a TV show once, right? And there was these people
Guantanamera, isn't it?
Yeah, from like the 1970s, going dee 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 dee, and I'm like, they're dancing to "Down with the Baggies." They're dancing to "Down with the Baggies." So, and I didn't realise that we were all Mexican. So yeah, that's what it is. Which you were obviously a big fan. So yeah, exactly. I just think we switch off there. I love it. It's a great tune.
In fairness, I do like the Boubacar Kamara chant that Rich put on the Twitter. Where it was like, "Aye, Boubacar Kamara."
There we go. That's the next one. That's the next one, Martin. That's the next one.
I love it that Kev said, "Oh, when someone tells you not to do something, that's when I switch off." That's how he got his first restraining order. Actually,
I'm free now. I'm free now. I'm off the list.
He's learned his lesson.
That's just a vicious rumor, by the way.
I feel like in Kev, because I've been off for so long, I'm making all these observations. I feel like in Kev we've got like a young, fresh Matt Kendrick. Is that just me? Like actual like Matt Kendrick vibes in the way that he like puts across his opinions.
His quips.
And,
yeah.
The quips
and
the accent as well.
I'll take that. I've got a lot of time for Matt Kendrick. I think he adds a lot of value to that channel. So yeah,
he is good.
It is a compliment, by the way.
Me or Matt Kendrick.
That's your third bit of feedback, Kev. That's your third bit.
Not too much.
Me and George are safe for the time being. Anyway, me and George are safe from these feedbacks for the time being.
But yeah, George, coming to you, mate. I don't think it was a classic by any means in terms of game, and we'll get on to sort of other individual players and what else we think might be missing, because we've got a comment from Aaron about bits and bobs that might be missing as well. But yeah, Diego Carlos, as Martin mentioned, scored a goal from a set piece as well. In our case, I think it's a short corner play to Ashley Young, and he whipped it in, and Carlos got his head to it. But yeah, I think that's obviously something to breed confidence, and he looks like I think we spoke about this the other day, or maybe even last week. He seems like he's just slotted into the side, like he's been there for forever, hasn't he, George?
Yeah, I've got very high hopes for Carlos. I've seen a lot of Twitter response this weekend saying that he's going to be the next Martin Larsson, and I'm all for that if that's the case. He just, like you say, he just looks like he's no nonsense. He's going to lead. He's not scared. He's just he's a man, isn't he? We're buying the finished article here, I hope. And that header was superb to win the game. I mean, no one else was winning that ball, were they? Yeah, so hopefully he's going to be the man this season. And I enjoyed the Diego chance as well at the end.
Diego. Yeah. Good stuff.
Can I just say at Warsaw pre-season I was trying to get DIEGO going, but no one was joining me. I did it about 5 times. He's D dangerous
Sam,
he
get that
is,
restraining order, will you?
No
Sam,
one was. No one was. There was a woman next to me.
Order, please.
A woman next to me thinking about singing along, but I couldn't get it catching on.
Yeah. Do you know what? I like it, mate.
Yeah, to the
I'm
tune
with
of
you.
disco, D-I-E-G-O.
Yeah. I love a bit of originality, as Sam knows. I'm always pushing this. I just can't think of it myself.
Yeah.
One for George, one for Kevin.
We can't sing the Villa chant. We can't go Villa because George's like, oh, that's played out. So that's our chant. That's what we sing.
Yeah.
But it's no, I think Diego Carlos is going to be he's going to be solid, and he's just an absolute beast. And I think you look at someone like Tyrone Ming, 6'5", built like an absolute brick house, but sometimes he doesn't really know how to throw his weight around, like because he's a bit. I've always said about Tyrone Ming, he's got Bambi legs. He's a bit, a bit unsteady. He's not always the most balanced. But Diego Carlos is just so centered. He's like got a great center of gravity for such a big guy, and he just
the size of the man's hamstrings as well. It's like nearly bigger than me head. The size of the thing, like
you're just not getting.
Yeah.
As soon as you get a shoulder barge off him, you'll know about it. Like he's just and he just gives that. I don't know. It's like the confidence. It's the presence. It's even like as a crowd at Villa. If the ball goes into the box, you're going to know that Carlos is going to be there to head it away, and that security from a crowd point of view. If it's 10 minutes to go, you kind of and you're 1-0 up. You've got that trust, and you're not going to put that panic onto the players, are you?
I think at the other end as well, Rich. We've had goals at last minute from Callum Chambers and from Diego now as well. So if the Villa centre backs can start popping in with goals, I think the last time I really saw that was our season that we stayed up, first season back in the Prem, where Ezri Konsa was getting his goals, goal at Watford, and I think that chipping in at corners, because I think we've always been super ineffective from corners.
So I do believe from La Liga that Carlos was quite hot-tempered, so like he can be triggered a little bit, which is why
you need a bit of that though.
You don't need a bit of that, and I'm all for it. But like sometimes the disciplinary record isn't great, so like it's.
Let people get afraid of him, and we've got cover.
Yeah.
Let people not want to go in for a challenge with him. Let him get a red card and really break someone in half, and then the next game when he does come back, people will be like, oh, I'm not going anywhere near him because he's going to he's going to hit me with something that I don't want.
Lads, I was going to say, obviously, that was my thoughts actually, was how will he get on with Premier League referees if he's quite physical? But there's plenty of physical players in the Premier League. He hasn't actually got a horrendous record. I think he only got one red card last season from my research. But so it's not like he's getting it. But then Spanish referees, a bit more different. I just hope we don't get a situation where he tries to exert himself and all of a sudden, he's out for 3 games and then, you lose a little bit of momentum, don't you?
Yeah. But no, it was a satisfactory result, lads, and I think to end the pre-season with 4 wins and a draw, is it something like that, or was it
technically
4 or 5 wins and a draw?
4 wins.
Well, if you count Fulham, if you technically 5 wins, isn't it? We beat Fulham.
Yeah. But we're coming to the comments now. So Aaron's mentioned there that the midfield is still powder puff, and Gerard can't see it. His mum, nan, and granddad are tougher than them. We've mentioned this about the midfield, and I'll open it up to you guys. We've mentioned it about the midfield, and there was a lot of talk on Twitter that Kamara, even though he played well, he seemed to have a lot on his plate in terms of the physicality. And Rennes, while they are goal scorers, they're 4th in the French league. Are we going to come unstuck with this issue in midfield still? For the upcoming Premier League, and open up to the floor, lads.
I think we've got the problem. Yeah, when we discussed it last week, I won't repeat exactly what I said, but we was talking along the lines of Kamara, thinking he was going to be the new boss in midfield, the physical presence, the dominator. But from what I've seen so far, it doesn't look like he's going to be that to me. So I think there's definitely we're looking at a Diego Carlos. We want that profile of physicality in a new midfielder, I would say. Just need someone to start putting a few tackles in, and
we haven't really played games where Kamara is putting his strength to use.
What are they? What are his strengths?
Like from what I believe, he is very physical and he is really commanding when we're off the ball. But we haven't really played games where he's been able to put that to use. Like we played Walsall, he wasn't there. We played Leeds. He looked good against Leeds because we had more of the ball. Against Brisbane again, we had more of the ball. Against United, first half, right, we weren't great. But again, when we have the ball, he's very good. So we actually haven't really played games where we've been under pressure a lot. And we've seen the side of him where when we're under pressure, his physicality will start kicking in. So we haven't actually really played games where he's put his physicality to use. It's more or less.
He just doesn't look like he's quite big enough to me. Just in stature, I don't know. I hope I'm wrong.
I think it's.
He's still only 22. There's still time to come.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy to judge him so quickly.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he's played 5 preseason games. He's got his way into that France national team. Now, France have about 6 different teams that they can put out to actually get into the France team is absolutely ridiculous. First off, secondly, the boy's 22.
The French team, but what they have at their disposal.
But I think the thing is, he's 22. He's going to fill out. He's going to get stronger. He's going to get used to the physicality of the Premier League. He's going to have to, he's going to do what a lot of players have done this season. I don't know if you've been sort of checking out players from other teams, but so many players have been hitting the weights from different teams. Mason Mount, Marcus Rashford, what's his name? Elanga from Man United. They're all hitting the weights because they're starting to understand that it's not good enough to just be quick in this league. You have to be able to hold yourself. Although I haven't been on the pod for a while, Rich, just this one's for you. I do still listen. Every single position that we're a little bit light, your suggestion is a 6 foot plus, bulldozer. You said about the striker, you're like, Keenan Davis, we need a 6 foot plus. All centre mid, we need a 6 foot plus. I don't think it's always about just having size, like having that size. I agree with you to a certain extent, but Ollie Watkins' size would be absolutely fine, even though he's not 6 foot, if he could hit a barn door. Do you know? And I think in midfield, Kamara, give him some time to play one Premier League game, then judge him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
it's the players around him you need to worry about.
No, and I don't think it's on him. I think sometimes it could be a slight tweak in formation. Like it could be that it's in certain games he plays like 2 at that base of midfield as opposed to just relying on one player and having the 2 further forward in front of him. Sometimes it's not necessarily Kamara. It could be Louise and McGinn, who he played on Saturday, aren't necessarily physical enough to dominate that central midfield area. That's where I'm thinking like to go alongside a Kamara type player. But Kev, we've talked about Tim, Big Tim, Eric Bonham, and apparently he at this point I couldn't get the stream on, but I've heard very, very good reports in terms of an excellent cameo from him. Do you feel like he'll feature a lot this season in terms of being able to provide that potential physicality in midfield?
Yeah, look, obviously we spoke about this in the last pod as well. I'm same as you. I think we must have had the same stream. I didn't see much. I just saw it was like you play for 3 seconds, stop, and then 5 seconds later we came back on. So it was like a bit of a jigsaw puzzle of a video, which was a bit weird. Look, I think it's clear what Gerrard thinks of him. He speaks very highly of him, and he's impressed in pre-season, absolutely, and he has got that profile. Albeit he's very young, but I mean, if he's showing he can use it and he's good enough, then I think at the moment, look, we're all going to be very, very differently having these conversations, aren't we? If we get to the end of the transfer window and we don't change anything in terms of the personnel incomings, and then we don't have a great start to the season, then there'll be, I guarantee that all of us will probably be like, he should have. Loads of Villa fans are doing it now. I think Aaron's making a great point. I must say, by the way, Aaron's nanny's absolute nails, so they've got a high standard to get to there. No one messes with Aaron's nan, but if you can get to a point where you literally can get someone who's close to that, you'll be fine. But I think my summary on this is as follows. We can all see it. So one of the guys said in the comments, so we can all see it. We all know that we're probably a little bit light physically. I get it's not all about strength and power, but absolutely, I think in that midfield, Kamara, a few guys have said he's 22, he's going to fill out, he's going to get bigger. We're playing in the Premier League, and we want to get in Europe. Like, I'm not writing him off at all. I think he's got a really high pedigree and loads of people after him. I'm sure he'll do great. Yeah. But he's got to get to the demands of the Premier League quickly. Otherwise, you find yourself October, November, you're off the pace and you're going to finish 12th if you have a good season.
Do you know, like, one of the things that I kind of took away from pre-season, just as we're finishing up on it, and I think for Steven Gerrard, like, when I saw he'd made McGinn captain, the only reason I was disappointed is this. I think that in order for us to be a better team this year, I think Steven Gerrard needs to be brave. I think he needs to be brave with his team selection. For example, he needs to play Tim Irabonum when, have a few games with whatever your 11 is, but don't wait too long. Don't wait till Christmas before you start making changes. Kane Kessler-Hayden was he was sensational last year. He was sensational the year before that.
And he was very good.
Pre-season, he was sensational. Cameron Archer, what does that boy have to do to get a game? I mean, Rich already knows. I've been blowing this Cameron Archer trumpet for well over a year now. The boy's a phenom. He's Jermaine Defoe.
He's
reincarnated.
He's
an absolute killer. And the problem is, I would say the only killer that we genuinely have in the team up front is Danny Ings. But Danny Ings isn't doing it right now. And I'm not writing off Danny Ings. I think he's a good player. I think we just need to play to his strengths more. We don't. Yeah. But Cameron Archer, he's got to start. He's got to start a game. You can't put him third choice behind Ollie Watkins and Danny Ings, who aren't scoring against these teams that we're all criticising in pre-season. I think, I honestly think that Steven Gerrard just needs to be brave, because we've got such a great academy. We put so much money into that academy. And, if we don't use the talent that we've got off it, and we're going to keep losing it like we are with Chukwuemeka, like we are with, like we will do with other players that I'm sure we'll be happy to let go, then what's the point? What's the point of putting all that money into that infrastructure if we're not then going to use the talents because they're not old enough? They're playing well, playing.
Yeah. I totally agree. So, I mean, obviously Gerrard's got a lot of things to think about over the next few weeks and over the next week, before the season. And, Ings, Mings, and who else played? Buendia. One or two others were playing against Fulham. How close, George, do you think was that team on Saturday to the team that will start next Saturday? Because I'd imagine Callum Chambers as well also played against Fulham, and we've mentioned that he might have pushed himself up into the pecking order. How close do you think that team on Saturday was to the starting 11 on that will be next Saturday against Bournemouth?
Well, you'd imagine with only a week left till the season, that would be the game where you're going to pick your near enough team, right? So, I think obviously the shock was Mings, like Martin said, but maybe he's decided now, after he's done the hard bit by knocking him, taking the captaincy off him. Maybe he's thought, well, if I'm gonna move on with someone else, now's the time to start the season. He's obviously chose Konza, so maybe that could be his side on Saturday, lads. And but Bailey's worked his way in. I wouldn't have said he was playing a couple of weeks ago, but you can't ignore what he's done in pre-season.
Do you think giving the captaincy to McGinn, do you think that was a bit of a strange choice as well? Because I feel like if anyone is, of all the players who really need to fight for their place this season, I put McGinn near the top of that list. Not to say he's a bad player, but he does need to provide more and produce more. Is that not? Do you find that strange?
I think we were kind of all in agreement with that. I think. Yeah.
I'm not.
No.
I'm going to defend him because he was playing mostly out of position all of last season, So, and he's the captain of Scotland. If you're not a good leader, you're not going to be captain of your national team. Right?
Where do you want him to play then? Because I've heard this argument a lot. Oh, he plays too deep, or he plays too forward, he plays too central. Where is McGinn's best position? Because if he's a cam, he's not playing there for Villa.
No.
We've got two players ahead of him.
McGinn is box to box. That's his best position, where he gets up and down the pitch. Him for a 6.
I feel like that's where he plays because he plays as an 8.
He does, and last season he didn't play defensive midfield. Last season he was
playing as an 8.
Louis,
honestly, he was
playing, didn't he? So,
he's cracking on.
He's a 1 in 3, isn't he, McGinn?
Yeah. I think the problem with McGinn is I think his problem is his passing. His passing is just way off.
Stats last season, he was our most creative player.
Nah,
that's not saying that much, mate. We finished 14th. What do you want? He's the most creative
man who was our most creative player on the pitch.
Yeah, but stats.
In what sense most creative?
Stats are one thing. What you got, what you see, what you see in it.
Yeah, there was a stat going around the other day that him and Ramsey had the lowest passing
lowest
conversion rate
percentage.
or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He sprays a lot of balls because he gets the ball and he pings it out on a diagonal or down long. And sometimes they do hit their man, but more often than not, they don't. And I think, John McGinn had games. I saw a lot of games last season. I saw almost all the home games and quite a few away games. And there were days where John McGinn was just superb, and you're like, this is the McGinn that we remember from the Championship. And then there were other games where I was like, he's just completely lost it. Like he loses confidence in a way that you didn't think John McGinn could. And I think that repetition with like using his arse to try and shield the ball, people have worked that out now. People know what John McGinn's going to do. And I don't think, again, I'm not saying he's a bad player. John McGinn, for a couple of seasons was arguably our best player. I've got a shirt with McGinn's name on the back upstairs. It's not like I'm knocking the guy, but I just think with the introduction of new players, new signings, the likes of Kamara, the likes of Eric Bonham knocking on the door, the likes of Buendia, who I rate so highly. I did last season. I still rate him very highly. If he's going to be left out of the team, you have to earn that place for me, because otherwise you change the formation, you put him in, you put a 2 in midfield, and then you fit Buendia in somewhere, because he offers so much more than John McGinn does, in my opinion.
Maybe McGinn's just found his level.
Ken and Bailey out rightly. You put them 3 in behind the striker.
What I hope from Gerrard is that he's obviously we only see a Saturday, so he's obviously seen something in training with him, and obviously seen his attitude, which you can't complain. None of us can knock his attitude, but maybe he's thinking, that might raise his game, an extra 10-20%, which is what is needed from him, and maybe that will keep his concentration levels high. However, I must say that again, this is going predominantly from the comments from people watching the game. The Louise and McGinn were potentially guilty of giving the ball away again yesterday. So I don't know. I hope it works, but I also hope that that captaincy does not guarantee him a spot in the team, because if anything, the midfield that we've the options that we have in midfield while we're talking about kind of lack of presence or lack of height, we certainly have a lot of players that could potentially play in midfield.
Gerrard did point that out, that just because he got the captaincy doesn't mean his spot is guaranteed. So it's basically every spot is opened up for grabs. So just because someone's captain doesn't mean he's guaranteed a spot.
I find that weird. That weird, Martin. I feel like if that was the case, give it to Emi Martinez.
Yeah, I don't see
give it to someone will play every game.
I don't see why you would appoint somebody's captain, not even just McGinn. Let's say Martinez or Matty Cash, whoever on the pitch, and then come out and say that doesn't mean he's guaranteed his game. If you're guaranteed your game, that's regardless. Unless he's gotten to the point where he's probably a little bit older now, he needs to step aside, but when he goes on the pitch, he's the club captain. But McGinn's not at that age to, step aside, and then when he comes on, he's getting the band and everything else. So that's what I find strange. That is a little bit spooky to me.
I think he's just trying to keep it open. I think one thing it says as well about this whole captain situation. Look, Sam, I'm with you. I think it should have been Martinez, because I thought it was any guaranteed start, right? So I agree on that. But does it say something about maybe our lack of options, in that maybe he felt, looking at the people he had, he wanted maybe an outfield choice, and McGinn has clearly got leadership qualities, but you're not going to give it to Mings if you don't fancy Mings to play every game. People like Digne and Carlos might be a bit too new to the team. Are they going to have that level of respect straight away? Maybe it was almost a choice where he felt McGinn was the best of the options that he had on the table.
Well, you can say it out really easily like this. If I put our starting 11, whatever that will be on the first day of the season, if I put that to you on a piece of paper and said, put a tick next to everyone's name who is a mainstay, who cannot be, he is indispensable to this team. There is maybe 1 or 2 players that you would say, it doesn't matter if they go through a bad patch, they're staying in the team, whatever. I think, maybe Matty Cash, but because he had such an excellent season last season, but the season before that, he had massive issues. Couldn't hit across into the box, but he improved himself massively. But if Kane Kessler-Hayden's knocking on the door, and every single time I watch him, he impresses me so much. If he is actually just better than Matty Cash, he'll get in. Left back, maybe Digne, there's no one to replace him really. There's no one to really challenge him. So there's only maybe 2 or 3 places where you'd say, look, these are mainstays in the team right now. Even Leon Bailey, fantastic preseason, but he didn't play for most of last season, be it through injury or just not getting picked. Even the strikers as well, if they don't start hitting soon, Villa fans are going to get really disgruntled with them really quickly, because it's not just a few games where they haven't done it. It's for most of last season as well, where they were lacking. So it's a tough one, Steven Gerrard, and I see why he's done it. I think it's because he doesn't have a solidified 11 where you're like only a couple of players of them will change each week.
Yeah. Right, boys, we'll get on to really good chat on the captaincy and the options. That was really good. But we will get on to our season predictions in terms of the 5 questions that we asked in terms of player of the year, young player of the year, top goal scorer, surprise package, and our flop of the season. But before we do that, please, if you're watching and you haven't already, please give the video a like. Please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you know when our videos and our next episodes are. We are on the road to 150 subscribers, and hopefully we'll hit that very soon, and we will potentially be able to move up to 200 very soon. So yeah, fantastic support to the channel. Much appreciated. So boys, first of all, we'll just do a round robin. We'll see who we are picking in terms of our player of the season, and then maybe get a few comments on it. Once we've all gone round the table. So, Kev, who's getting your vote for player of the year this 22-23 season?
It's going to be the Zimbabwean legend himself, Marvelous. No, sorry. I couldn't do it. Sorry. Apologise. Diego Carlos.
Please go and finish your sentence. No.
Diego Carlos.
Okay. Diego Carlos. One for Diego. The legend, George Fowler. What are you saying?
2 for Diego Carlos.
Sam?
I want to say something different, but I think it's going to be a clean sweep for Diego Carlos because he just looks so strong.
You know what Martin's going to say?
Martin?
I've actually gone with Matty Cash again. I think Matty Cash is going to be even better than he was last season, so I think Matty Cash will take it. Just ahead of Carlos, I think he'll take it, just ahead of him.
Nice. And I said Diego Carlos. I think the way he's kind of settled into the team is just crazy. And I think he's going to be a real hero for the fans if he keeps himself fit. If he doesn't get suspended too much, Martin, I think he'd be pretty much a shoo-in for player of the year, to be honest. Aaron,
it's a long season. Who knows? It's a long season. Who knows?
Oh, of course it is.
At the start of the season, nobody was saying Matty Cash would probably get our player of the year. Would I be right?
My second choice, very closely behind him, was Kamara, because from what I've seen of him, I think he's going to be absolutely immense. Just give the boy some time, because I've seen some quality from him that we haven't had for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I didn't go back to last season when me and Rich did ours, but I would pretty much guarantee that all of them were wrong. So, yeah, making these predictions before the season is
target.
It's never wise. Yeah.
But okay. But I'm gonna say, but I just say I think that says a lot about sometimes about how good or bad your season's been. Because if you just stay up, or you have a 15th, 14th position finish in the league, then the players you probably expect to impress don't impress, and therefore a left or right back gets it. It doesn't necessarily mean they've had a bad season, but it just means sometimes they perform well in a team that really underperformed, and that's why the predictions sometimes seem so wildly out.
Well, us finishing 14th and Jacob Ramsey getting the player of the season, Villa fans picking a young up and comer, obviously showed that the rest of the players pretty much flattered to deceive for the whole season. So, not taking away anything from Ramsey in terms of his season, but the proof's in the pudding.
He was very good.
So I think we're pretty unanimous, other than Martin, on Diego Carlos. So that's one for the big one. And Martin, if Cash can replicate this last season, I think he'll certainly be up there in the honours board. Martin, I'll come to you first for the young player of the year.
I've gone with, and I'm praying just like Sam, but he gets with the game time, Cameron Archer. I just think during his preseason, he was unbelievable. Fox in the box, took his chances really well. I can't say the same for Watkins, unfortunately. Like, the man misses so many chances, but he does score a few good goals. But I think Cameron Archer is going to win it if he gets his games. That's my choice.
Fair play, Sam.
Don't ask me, bro. Move on. because you know who I'm gonna say already. Is just
me and Sam are in agreement. It's on to Kevin.
No. You know what? If Cameron Archer gets the minutes that he actually deserves this season, forget Diego Carlos, he'll be player of the season. If he's trusted and he gets the minutes, he will get us. I guarantee he will get us 15 goals this season. If he's played consistently, he'll get us 15 goals this season. I fully believe it, Kevin. It's not I've said this about Cameron Archer for so long, and every single time he plays football, he scores goals. Whether it's for Preston, whether it's for the under-21s, whether it's for Villa, it doesn't matter who it's for. He's just a bagsman. That's what he does. He just
how many did
goals.
he get for Preston last year, Sam? Do you know?
Did he get 7 or 11?
Six or seven in the second half of the season.
Yeah, 6 or 7 in a half season where he wasn't even playing like the whole time. Like I think his game time was a little bit inconsistent, George. But his goals per minute ratio is just quality everywhere he goes. And you've got to remember as well, the kid's 19, 20? Like he's just going to keep getting better and better. Like we've had no one in their prime who looks as prolific as Cameron Archer. So it's him, and if he manages to get some game time, Kane Kessler-Hayden as well, because he'll be fantastic every time he steps on the pitch if he's not put on loan. And then obviously you've got Jacob Ramsey to think about, who I thought came on leaps and bounds last season. He just needs to have the same level of progression this season to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's great to have such good young players. George, what about you?
I've gone for, providing he finds a way into the team, which I think he might, is Tim Arubanam. Because like we're talking about midfield and the lack of physicality and the lack of height, maybe we've got a little gem on our hands there already. And Gerrard looks like he fancies him a little bit, doesn't he? He's given him a fair bit of a game time in pre-season. Yeah. And I reckon, say the first few games don't go our way and we're overrunning midfield like we have been for the last, God knows, 3-4 years at least, I reckon he'd be tempted to have a go with him. And if he gets in the team, I'd say he might just stay there.
Yeah. Carney Chukwuemeka, get your vote, Kev?
I'm going to give it to Marvin to the Canberra as well, because I think he's young enough. So credit where credit's due. No, look, I'm going to agree with George. Actually, I think I'm going to give it to Timmy Robenham. That would be my choice for young player of the season. Yeah, he's. I think he will play. I think he will play. I think he'll get game time, and I think he's impressed enough so far. So I just think he's someone that's going to come on leaps and bounds. And I can see there'll be times when I think we'll potentially play a 2 at the base, particularly like away games, and I think it could be him and Kamara doing that. So that's for me. I think Archer, look, I don't disagree at all, by the way. Look, he didn't have a brilliant scoring record at Solihull Moors. It's one place he hasn't scored, but since then, in terms of, I guess it's probably, you argue, a bit of a late bloomer, he's been unbelievable. Whether it's the, Barrow, Chelsea for Villa, obviously, and was it the EFL Cup, whatever it was, Preston, England, obviously younger age groups. For me, a lot of these questions around that we're asking now, it all depends on what Gerrard does. If he plays the players, I truly believe if Kane Kessler-Hayden was to get the game time, I think he could be young player of the season. I just don't think we'll get the game time ahead of Cash, therefore I wouldn't pick him for it. I think if Archer gets the game time, I think Archer could be young player of the season as well. But it remains to be seen, isn't it? So Tim, big Tim for me.
Yeah, same for me. I think for all everything that you two have just said there, I think there could come a time where he's called upon, and then I think he keeps his place in the team. So big Tim for me. We've got a couple of votes for Kane Kessler. Aaron's put him in there. Young player of the year, Kane Kessler-Hayden. When Cash gets injured, he'll thrive. And we also had a comment earlier from Espen, who's a big supporter of the channel. He's gone for Diego Carlos. I won't put the comment on yet because he's answered all of them in one. But he's gone Diego Carlos and Kane Kessler-Hayden for the same reason, in terms of he will challenge Cash. So it's a great position to be in. And as you said, Sam, we're forgetting Jacob Ramsey here, who's already ahead of the queue because he's a first team regular. So
and his brother as well, Aaron Ramsey. He had a great under 19 Euros campaign with England. So I think our young talent is so exciting at Villa. Whatever you think.
Rumor has it Aaron is meant to be better than Jacob.
I heard that a while back. I don't believe it yet, but Yeah.
The thing is, they always say that about anybody. They say it about Jude Bellingham's brother Joe. They say everybody. There's never
Thorgan Hazard.
Yeah,
Always the next one, isn't it?
You've never ever heard a situation where a professional footballer has got a brother coming through the ranks and they say, "I've heard actually his brother's worse than him." Never been said. Never been said.
Have you heard about Brian Messi? Kid's going to be amazing.
Brian. Brian with a Y. Brian with a
Y. Great.
The life of Brian.
Right. Top goal scorer then, lads. Who got it last season?
Watkins, I think.
Watkins got 11, didn't he?
Was
He
it?
got 11 goals.
Yeah, I think that was as good as we got.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would suggest Watkins had it 2 seasons in a row. Then, are you going to go safe, Kev, and say Ollie Watkins, or are you going to go left field and go for someone different?
I'm going to go for marvelous. No, sorry, I keep doing that.
We got
that's still funny. I've got to be honest, Kev. That is still it's tickling me every time.
I'm going for Danny Ings. I think he'll play, and I think he's too good a player, and he's still young enough, and he looks in great nick. Actually, he looks really physically he's lean, looks strong. He's not had any injury. I mean, I think he was obviously fit toward the end of the season as well. I think he'll get the game time, and I think that we've got enough in our squad in terms of Coutinho, Buendia, Bailey, Digne, Cash, Ramsey, Kamara to create chances for someone of his quality if he gets game time and run of games to score goals. So I think Ings will be our top goal scorer this season.
Martin?
I've gone for Ollie Watkins again. I mean, the amount of chances he does miss, but he still scores goals as much. He didn't get as much as he did the previous season, but I still think for some reason he's probably going to be our top goal scorer. I don't know what it is, but I think it'd be very close between him and Ings. I really do. If Archer gets his game time and be top goal scorer, that'd be great. But I just think it'll go to Ollie Watkins. That's where I'm at. It's very hard to pick because of the situation between Ings and Watkins, and then Archer trying to get into the team. So I've gone with Watkins, the safe option.
Good, George. Big Keenan.
No, I don't think it'd be Big Keenan as much as a fan of him as I am. But no, I'm going to go with Danny Ings as well. And it's not really because of what he's done in a Villa shirt. It's what he's done over his career. It tells me that everywhere he's been, he's scored. So is it our fault or is it his fault that it hasn't worked out at Villa yet? I think give him the games. He's going to get going. He's got to get going at some stage, surely. And let's face it, there's not a lot to beat with 11 goals, is there? So I'd say the smart money is on Danny Ings to be the top goal scorer.
So your bets, your tips this season, every game will be McGinn yellow card and Ings to score any time.
Well, you've said that, Rich. So I'll stop putting the pressure on you, I think.
Sam, I don't think I need to come to you to know who you're going to say.
Well, no, I mean, my answer is Ollie Watkins because he'll get the game time. Because no, it's true. But this is what I said before. I think I don't think Cameron Archer's going to play. I don't think he'll start more than 5 games this season. So that's why he's not going to be top goal scorer. And this is one of the things one of my favorite things about being back on the channel is that I actually get to have a conversation with George, because when I'm listening to it and just following the pod normally like everyone else, something he said the other day just had me in bits, where he's talking about this Villa disease. He was talking about Danny Ings and he's like, what are we like? Is this some sort of Villa disease where strikers can't score? And we've got it. Chelsea have got it as well. They kill every number 9 that comes to their club. But I agree. I think Danny Ings is out of the two. I think he's out of him and Watkins the most capable striker. But I know, I don't know why, but I know that Ollie Watkins is his first choice. He will be first choice ahead of Danny Ings, ahead of Cameron Archer. He'll get the minutes, he'll get the opportunities, and that will make him our top goal scorer. But it's not because he's the best striker in our squad.
Sam, if they carry on playing both of them, do you think that Watkins, because Watkins, I think he's hit his summit at about 14 goals. Do you reckon he should start playing more for Ings and stop worrying about himself and become more of a foil than trying to be the top man? Like, for the sake of the team, I mean. What do you think?
Like Ollie Watkins focus on sort of assisting Danny Ings and creating stuff.
Just doing more of the donkey work. And if we're scoring more as a team, then we're everyone's a winner, surely.
I think yes. like that probably would be more effective if the final chance rested with Danny Ings. I'd rather that than with Ollie Watkins because his conversion rate is absolute toffee. But I think if that is then going to be Ollie Watkins' role, then you don't need Ollie Watkins. You just put in Buendia, because Buendia is really good at chasing from the front as well. He's really good at pressing. He does a lot of the stuff that Ollie Watkins does without the goals. So
what about the centre forward play though? All the holding it up, getting it down, being a presence, being a bully.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're right in that sense. Yeah, he probably will be better, but I think that's just a small part of the game, and I think you've got to think of it as like a full 360. Ollie Watkins is decent at holding up the ball, but there's so much more to that position, and I think I would be happy to really start Danny Ings and just give him, look, you've got 10 games, you've got 10 games to really go out there and just show your impetus and show that you're on it. And take the chances because Danny Ings is clinical and Ollie Watkins isn't. I think that's.
And do you reckon, like I just said before, is it him? Is it Ings or is it us? Whose fault is it that it's not worked?
It's us.
I think. I think it's a bit of both because Ings, he's even come out himself in an interview recently, said he wasn't up to speed fitness wise, probably even to the second half of the season, well into the second half of the season. So he's had injury issues. I think when he got into the team, he wasn't quite up to match fitness as well as he should be. So. It's a combination. I think the Villa disease sometimes is a little bit of unluckiness. You sign Leon Bailey, he gets injured. Ings is injured early on. All these different factors. Grealish leaves late on. I don't think it helps the situation.
I think with that, Kev, I think you're right. But like this is the way I think about it. Whether it's Ings or whether it's us, is I see Danny Ings and I see us not creating enough chances for him, and we're not playing it in the start. We're trying to fit him into our system instead of building our system around. Around a proven goal scorer who has scored everywhere he's been pretty much. And I just think, a lot of people can say, he has to play this Villa way. But I think we kind of need to be brought back down to reality and realise that we finished 14th last season.
Yeah,
and this Villa way that we're talking about is not the most effective way. And I'm not saying hoofball and start lumping it downfield for, still play attractive football, but try and be more effective with it. Change the way that you play and do something different because what we did last season didn't work.
Yeah. Well, we definitely need to, for want of a better phrase, shit house a few more victories or turn some of those poor results, draws and things like that where we do play for a certain chance or play for a certain set piece or whatever it might be, and be a little bit more ruthless. Definitely, 100%. Top goal scorer for me. So you guys we got 2 Watkins and 2 Ings. I think I'm going to lean towards Danny Ings. I'm going to lean towards Danny Ings. I was tempted to throw a curveball and say Leon Bailey, but I don't think he'll quite get enough goals.
It's all game time. I think it's injury problems. Only thing I worry about with Leon Bailey is injury.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam, I'll come to you first for this one. The surprise package. We'll just do a quick round robin on this. Surprise package of the season.
Surprise package of the season. I'm going to say Lucas Digne. I just don't think he showed his best in a Villa shirt last season. I think this season he's going to do a lot better.
Fair. Martin?
I've gone with Leon Bailey. I just think with pre-season and the way he's conducted himself, he seems a lot fitter. But if he stays fit, he's my surprise package. So,
would you be surprised?
Well, that'd be my surprise. Him staying fit.
Yeah,
that's my surprise. If he says fit and does something and he finishes the season relatively injury-free, he is going to pick up little knocks here and there. Every player does. No one's perfect. Then that's my surprise. My surprise package is him staying fit. So that's what I've got. If he stays fit and he's doing bits for Villa, he's my surprise. So I've really gone with a gamble on this one, just based on his pre-season. So,
Kev,
gamble what?
No, I'm not saying it this time. My surprise package is going to be Tyrone Mings.
Oh,
I like that.
Yeah, because I think
come out fighting. You mean, Kev?
Yeah, I think he'll come out fighting. I think he's got obviously a lot of pride. We've got the World Cup coming into the year, and I think he'll want to be doing all he can do to get in the squad. Not that many good left-footed centre halves for England, let alone left-footed centre halves. And I think he'll play more than some fans think he's going to play at the moment. So
yeah, the limelight's not on him. He has the pressure of the captaincy off his back.
Exactly.
So he might
play Gerrard said this, didn't he?
Pressure on him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I think, Kev? I think I would agree with you, but I don't think that Tyrone Mings' problem has ever been heart. I think it's always been ability. So I don't feel like he's going to like have some new fire burnt into him where he's going to try harder. I just think that Tyrone's limits are with how good he is at football, not with how hard he tries.
And a concentration as well.
Maybe the pressure off trying to be the main man all the time might help. So, yeah, I've got a feeling, you know, he's a good age still. He's clearly a good, strong, quality centre half in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have a decent season. I think I'll say surprised from a sense of how Villa fans might view him sometimes.
Yeah. George?
I've gone for Leon Bailey as well, simply because I think like at the end of last season, there was rumours, well, we were talking amongst ourselves that we thought it might just cut our losses and he might go. Obviously, the pre-season's gone very well. And so it might not be a surprise to Villa fans that he has a good season this year, but I can guarantee every other fan has fucking forgotten we've even signed him. So if he comes out having a go this year, I think, yeah, he could set the Premier League alight. I've stuck him straight in the fantasy team at 5 million as well.
Nice. Espen's also agreed with Leon Bailey as the surprise. I'm going to say Callum Chambers.
Nice.
I think
Chamberdino.
Exactly. I think, you know, for a free transfer or for virtually a free transfer, to kind of be quite high now in the pecking order. He scores goals from set pieces. His passing's really good. We've mentioned this, Kev, in terms of the speed of his passing, like across that back line or forwards into the midfield is higher than Mings and Konsa, I would say. And I think he's going to play more games than we think, and I think he'll contribute with goals as well.
And he's really been like a surprise package from last season, hasn't he? Like people probably weren't expecting him to play much, and then I was even slating him. I was like, he's this and he's that. Why the fuck are we signing him? And then he goes and shut me up, and now all of a sudden I'm calling him Chamberdino. So he was kind of really a surprise package last season. So you're probably right, Rich.
Yeah.
Well, I actually agree with that because I thought about putting Chambers in for that, but I felt actually he showed enough last season when he joined to make me think like he's actually going to have some impact. You know, he played 11 games in the second half of the season, so he played enough, and I think he showed some real quality. Whether that was an unbelievable goal against Leeds, that finish, I still dream about it. You know, some of the distribution. So yeah, I think he's going to have a big impact this season as well.
Yeah, nice. Right, the one that nobody wants to win, the flop of the season. George, I'll come to you first, mate.
Yeah, I found this one quite difficult, and but we mentioned him earlier, and the only reason I've gone for him, I've gone for John McGinn, and it's not, you know, I love McGinn, I'm always praising him, but I'm just thinking now he's been made captain, it's the thought process now that he's suddenly going to become a better player just because he's been given the captaincy. I mean, he's been at Villa 4 or 5 years, and I think he's proven he is a good player, but for me, he's about a 1 in every 4 games where he really stands out, and I think, like Sam said earlier, with like the arrival of Kamara and the slowly improving midfield that we're trying to get, he might just find himself a little bit lacking in there. But I hope he proves me wrong, and I hope he has a great season.
Yeah. We'll just caveat this with we hope that nobody gets this. We hope everybody plays well. But it might be more that players who kind of flat a little bit or don't quite do as well as we want to do. Sam, what about you, mate?
Mine is Douglas Luiz. I think last season he was better than he was the season before, but that wasn't hard because he was awful. Last season he was mildly improved. He showed a bit more, but I just don't think it's going to work for him at Villa. From being honest, Douglas Luiz, I was kind of hoping we'd sell him this season, and you know, because I still think he's got a bit of value in him. Sort of financially, I was hoping we'd sell him, and you know, to like a Newcastle or something. Someone who pays stupid money for him, and then reinvest that money or bring in like a Timmy or a Bonham. But I just don't see Douglas Luiz doing it at Villa. I don't think he's built for the Premier League. Although he has bags of ability and he's, you know, he is a good footballer. I just don't think he's a Premier League footballer. So I'll go with Douglas Luiz.
Fair. Okay.
I'm going to reluctantly say Ollie Watkins. I think if Ings gets in a bit of a run, then and he's only playing one striker at the time, I think he might struggle for game time if Ings is doing well. And if Archer's also having cameos where he's been as lethal as we know he can be, I think he may not have the impact that if he plays every game, he'll clearly get goals, Watkins. But I consider being a situation where he's out of the team and he's been linked with moves, possibly. I mean, as much as it pains me to say it.
Sorry, lads, just to jump in there, but with Danny Ings, with his previous clubs, am I right in saying he's often part of the front two more than just a lone striker? I know he used to play with Ashley Barnes, didn't he, at Burnley?
Che Adams.
Yeah, Che Adams. I mean, you'd almost look at Watkins as being quite similar to Barnes and Adams in terms of, fairly physical. Maybe not an absolute out and out scorer, but not as physical as he could be. But you know what I mean? He's more than Danny Ings.
Yeah.
Ashley Barnes and Che Adams are willing runners, as is Ollie Watkins. I thought they would be a great combo when we signed them. Hey ho.
Yeah. Martin, what about you?
I've gone with this one, and this is a little bit controversial. I'm going to say this because I think when, sometimes you have a young player and he does well, and there's always going to be little bumps on one season.
I think I know where you're going, Martin.
It's
me too.
I'm going to say Jacob Ramsey.
Yeah.
It just happens. It just happens to every single player. Like, look at Marcus Rashford. He jumped on the scene, and one season he had a little bump, then he came back, and then other players as well in different clubs. I just kind of see it happening for Ramsey this year. 2 great years where he's kind of coming up, and then I think he's just going to have that little bump and then kick on after that. I don't want to. I could just see it.
He did great last year, Ramsey. But if you took them 6 goals off him last year, what would we be saying about him then? I know he scored them, so it's immaterial. But just take them 6 goals away, his general performance in the team.
Yeah,
well, we talked about that stat, didn't we? We talked about that stat where him and McGinn were the lowest conversion rate in terms of passes. So that's certainly an area he needs to improve. And he's obviously got more used to the physicality of the Premier League as his seasons have gone on. So you would hope that next season he's got that bit more strength in him as well to kind of be more effective in those midfield areas and those midfield battles.
I think the worst thing that happens to Jacob Ramsey is that he doesn't kick on, but I don't see him going backwards. I don't see him being any worse than he was last season.
Backwards. I just think it's going to be a little bump in his journey. Like, some players that
Do you think he's going to be underwhelming?
Should have done.
Good word, Sam.
We're expecting.
I'm not even sure it's like flop wise. I do understand what you're saying. I think a lot of people have a lot of expectations, so I think he might have an underwhelming season or an anticlimactic, season where he's not quite hitting where you'd expect him to. But I think
I still believe where you might have a few games where this is where he should be at, and then he goes back to underwhelming. I just think a lot of young players, and it happens to every single one of them. It's happened to the likes of Gerrard, Lampard. It happens to every single player where they just have a few underwhelming seasons. Right, you should have been here, but you're down here. So I just think that's going to happen to Ramsey this year. I don't know what.
I agree. There are too many games where he's kind of invisible. Yeah, I do get that.
Yeah. There's also a lot more competition there, isn't it?
Exactly. I was just going to say, Kev.
He's too young. I agree with James. I really do. But you have to see where I'm coming from.
Find himself out of the team.
Yeah, but that might not be a bad thing because it spurs him on. Then, doesn't it? It's competition.
Yeah, it's just whether he'll get the game time. I was going to go for Sanson as well for surprise package because I think he will see a bit more game time this season. And you've got Buendia, who's could be vying for one of those 8 roles if he's not playing wide. You've got Louise, who may well be play further forward if he doesn't leave. So with McGinn, with Ramsey, he's got a lot of competition for places. So will he play as much based on what happens around him?
And Buendia is one that I'm worried about as well because I really want Buendia to get some game time this season. I think he's an incredible talent, and I think he's kind of. He's a bit unfortunate that we signed Coutinho because it didn't really give him that chance to thrive. But he needs to be given a chance.
James has gone with Bailey as a flop.
No, I think he thinks he's going to be a good player. I'm agreeing with Aaron.
Whoa!
I can see where he's coming from. I
think he's going to be. Yeah, I'm going to go Coutinho. I think. Yeah, we can't read too much into pre-season, but I think he started this pre-season is a little bit underwhelming. That's a good word that you had before, Sam. And I think that the determination of Leon Bailey and that determination that Emi Buendia has, I think that could potentially force Gerrard's hand to play Buendia, and I don't know if he's going to quite live up to that expectation that Villa fans have got for him.
I don't see Gerrard dropping Coutinho if he's fit too often, if I'm being honest. But I do agree that he started so high last season, Coutinho, that the only way for him to go down is down. You know, so I do get it. I think there's different degrees of flop. I think when you think of flop, you know, I think you know,
for 17 million, he doesn't have to do what we thought he might have to do at 33, 34 million, though.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right, boys, great fun doing these predictions. And as I said, I'm sure we will be completely wrong as the season goes on. But yeah, great fun doing the show, lads. Anyone watching, and if you haven't already, please give the video a like. Please subscribe to the channel. As I say, we are very, very close to 150. We'll be on the road to 200 very soon, and we have lots of things planned. We're talking about our 100th show, which is coming up very soon. Talk about other giveaways, other competitions that we're going to do. So please be subscribed and hit that notification bell so you know when our shows are coming up. We will be back on Thursday for our Villa season finishing prediction, where we think we're going to finish at the end of the season, as well as all the other teams. So, James, your question will be answered on Thursday, so please tune in.
I think Matthew asked the question on Thursday.
Yes, and Matthew asked the question as well earlier on. So your question will be answered on Thursday when we're all going to discuss where we think that each team.
What was that question, by the way? Can you just get it up? Because obviously I can't see it.
It was where do we think Villa are going to finish, in our honest opinion. We'll also be previewing the Bournemouth game on Thursday as well, with a Bournemouth fan to discuss how their pre-season plans have been going. And we also, there were some interesting words from Scott Parker that we will discuss on Thursday.
He wasn't ready.
So we know what scoreline we were predicting with that comment. But yeah, lads, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you everyone for watching. And we will be back on Thursday. Remember, thank you for your support. Please like and subscribe, and remember, you'll follow the Villa.